Welcome to BusinessVille, where we bring you the latest updates on the world of business and finance. Today, we will be discussing the impact of the Western sanctions on Russia. The recent decision by the US to impose new sanctions against Russia, after President Putin signed treaties to annex regions of Ukraine, has raised concerns about the future of the Russian economy. In addition to this, EU countries are also considering further sanctions to limit Russia's ability to pay for war. So what exactly are these sanctions, and how are they affecting Russia? Let's find out. What are sanctions? Sanctions are penalties imposed by one country on another to stop them acting aggressively or breaking international law. They are among the toughest actions nations can take, short of going to war. Sanctions can be economic, financial, or trade-related, and are used to put pressure on the targeted country to change its behavior. The goal is to create a cost for the country, so that it will change its policies in the desired direction. What are the latest US and EU measures? The US is imposing sanctions on 278 members of Russia's parliament for enabling the invasion of Ukraine. In addition, 36 Russian companies have been added to the list of entities targeted for sanctions. These sanctions include the freezing of any assets that targeted individuals and companies hold in the US, and a ban on US citizens doing business with them. The US has also restricted certain exports to Russia, including technology used in the oil and gas industry. The EU has already imposed several rounds of sanctions on Russia since 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea. The EU is now considering further sanctions to limit Russia's ability to finance the war in Ukraine. This includes restricting Russia's access to EU capital markets and stopping EU banks from buying Russian debt. What is the impact of these sanctions on Russia? The impact of the sanctions on Russia's economy has been significant. The Russian ruble has lost value against the US dollar, and inflation has risen. Russian companies have struggled to access international finance, as the sanctions have made it more difficult for them to raise capital. This has hurt businesses in industries such as oil and gas, which are heavily reliant on international financing. In addition, the Russian government has had to cut back on spending, as the sanctions have made it more difficult for them to borrow money. The government has also had to dip into its reserve funds to support the economy. The sanctions have made it more expensive for the government to borrow money, as international investors are less willing to lend to Russia. As the economy has struggled, many Russians have seen their incomes and purchasing power decline. Inflation has made it more expensive to buy imported goods, and some goods have become scarce due to supply chain disruptions caused by the sanctions. However, the Russian government has also taken steps to mitigate the impact of the sanctions on its citizens. For example, it has introduced import substitution policies to reduce Russia's dependence on imported goods. It has also increased spending on social programs to support low-income households. The sanctions have had a negative impact on Russia's economy, but their effectiveness in achieving political objectives is a matter of debate. Some argue that they have not succeeded in changing Russian behavior, while others argue that they have put pressure on the Russian government to negotiate and de-escalate the conflict in Ukraine. The impact of Western sanctions on Russia is a complex and ongoing issue that is affecting not only Russia, but also other countries that trade with Russia. While the sanctions are intended to put pressure on Russia to change its behavior and adhere to international law, they are also having unintended consequences, such as higher prices for goods and services and supply chain disruptions. It remains to be seen whether the sanctions will achieve their desired goals, or if they will simply exacerbate the economic and political tensions between Russia and the West. As concerned global citizens, it's important that we stay informed about the latest developments and understand the implications of the sanctions on the global economy and political landscape. We must continue to engage in open and constructive dialogue and work towards finding peaceful solutions to these complex issues. We encourage you to do your own research and share your thoughts and opinions on the topic in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to BusinessVille for more informative content on business and economics.